Welcome aboard, all you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers Podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Mary Oquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I will totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll. Okay, recording.
Hold on. Why is it not letting me record to my computer? Record. All right. Okay, it says I'm recording.
Okay, we're both recording then. All right. Welcome aboard, all you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers Podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Mary Oquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I will totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll. Pet Edge is the pet professional's choice for supplies and equipment from top brands. Check their website for new products, sales, and special offers. For a limited time, save 5% off your order with promo code TRAVELER5. Find what you need to succeed at petedge.com. Calf. Hi, Mary. How you doing?
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
It's going. And I apologize if I startled you with that coughing fit right there, but that's going to happen a little bit today. You notice how I went right with the theme there? I hinted at our topic before I even said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 297 of the Traveling Groomers, recorded on April 13th and will be airing on May 21st.
Okay. So, Chris, what's our topic?
Our topic is sorry, not sorry. When to apologize and when to say sorry to a customer, regardless if it's your fault or not, and what to say when it's not your fault, but something needs to be said. There's an issue. Something needs to be said. Acknowledgement. And actually, shout out to somebody who took my class at Intergroom. I wish I could remember her name, but if you're hearing this, you'll know who you are, because I was talking about client communications, and I use the phrase, I'm very sorry, but we're going to have to do this today. We're going to have to shave today. And she's like, just to clarify, are you apologizing to the client that you have to shave their dog? And I'm like, no. And I'm glad, she kind of frazzled my brain a minute there, because I'm not apologizing that I have to shave the dog. I am apologizing for this unfortunate situation and saying there's going to be an outcome that you don't like. And I'm acknowledging that, and I'm saying, but it's not really an apology. Okay. So I'm like, oof, this is something we need to address and work on.
Yeah, you know what? Is it because we're a women-based industry where that's our first go-to? Oh, I'm sorry. But it also brings up context.
Yes.
When people hear a phrase, okay, they hear the phrase in the context to their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you start off with I'm sorry, for some people, right away, that's, oh, she's apologizing. She's going to do something wrong.
But that's not always the case because
But
you can be,
again, it's context.
like if someone says my pet died or a relative, you're just like, I am so sorry to hear that. You do feel genuine grief. You didn't kill anybody. You didn't do anything wrong.
Context.
Context.
When there's nothing else to frame it, they're going to go to whatever the context is. So anyway, and this is kind of funny that you mentioned this because I just shipped off an article to groomer on pets, and part of it is miscommunication. So instead of using words that are either like buzzwords or phrases, frame it in what it is, the outcome, what you want the outcome to be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the three examples that I used in that article, one was consent grooming, which I hate that phrase with a passion, because that's not because again, that's a word that can be, it means different things to different people.
Yes. Yeah. It means different because we could have a whole nother episode. Ooh,
On just the word consent.
you know what? I'm going to get after. I'll schedule a guest for that. I got you. We're going to have a whole other episode discussing that because
But
it's important.
outcome is cooperation. So instead of calling it consent grooming, call it cooperation grooming. There's a different,
Cooperative. Yeah.
there is a different meaning that can be that can only be interpreted really in one direction, to cooperate during the grooming. That the groomer cooperates with the pet cooperates with the groomer. So we're working within each other's parameters. Okay. My favorite is do your best. I'll do my best. Oh my God. All right. Again, that's not the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The outcome is one of two things. All right. One of the two things is that your dog will be naked. I cannot do what it is you want. Your dog will be naked. Okay. I'm not doing my best. Of course, another outcome would be, it might depend on your dog, on how much brushing I can, you can go a little further with it. But if you know the dog is going to be naked, don't sugarcoat it.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah. I talk about that all the time because you can't, like, no, if you know you're going to be able to get a 4 through that, still make it seem like it's going to be bald and I'll do my best, but it's going to be bald because then you're a miracle worker.
Yeah. All right. Or short but not shaved. Oh my God. How vague is short but
It's a 2-snap. It's a 2-snap, Mary. Except for the people whom it's a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what they really mean, because I've had a client, short but not shaved meant a 10.
How is that not shaved? How, in what universe?
Know what to tell you. But again, it's the interpretation.
But see, that falls under what, and whenever I run into something with that,
There's the slightest bit of hair on the dog. A 40 might be shaved to them, but not
40 might be shaved because then they're thinking of how they look when they're shaved.
Yeah. So again, different,
Was their last dog a cholo? Cholo. Was their last dog a cholo quinto? Cholo? Zolo? Cholo? I get.
Well, whatever. Okay. But you know what? With somebody's short, with somebody's shaves can be really, they can be miles apart. Fur charts would be really good to resolve that. And of course, the best one is puppy cut.
Oh God, I can't.
Fur charts. Again, looking at instead what the outcome is going to be rather than phrases.
Mexican hairless dog. It is one of several breeds of hairless dogs and can be found in toy, miniature, or standard sizes.
Just tell me how to pronounce
it. The Xolo also comes in a coated variety, while coated and hairless are in the same litter.
Oh, come on, we know this.
Looking at how to pronounce show. The X at the beginning
Show.
is to be pronounced like CH. Show Lloyds Quintley. Sholois Quintley. Sholoids Quintley. Sholoids Quintley dog.
Okay. I'm just gonna pull that up anytime I have to say that word. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna just call it. Google is gonna now pronounce that word for me forever.
Okay. We're good.
All right, sorry. Ahem.
All right. So now that all said, getting back to the actual topic.
Back to topic, because you know what? This is a natural stopping place. I will just hit the first button here, even though we really should do another minute. But that was a good stopping place because we went right to topic today, Mary. I'm on it.
I love being a house call groomer, but I hate doing laundry or worrying about asking my clients for fresh towels. Raypet has solved those problems for me with the Wet Pet disposable towel. Taking up much less space than traditional cotton towels and easy to wring out and reuse, these super soft, comfy, absorbent towels eliminate any cross-contamination concerns between pets, and now their new smaller washcloth size can even help those sensitive eye areas. Great for cleaning out wrinkles gently and thoroughly. Need to keep water bowls for your clients on hand that are easy to disinfect, but hate all the room traditional clanky metal bowls take up? Or just have a very active pet? Their collapsible silicone bowl comes with an aluminum D-ring hook that can be attached to your pet's leash or anywhere else in your van for easy storage. You can get one by itself or in their handy travel kit, along with a set of 3 tick removers and 1 small wet pet towel. So stop by their website to check it out, raypet.net, and tell them the Traveling Groomers sent you.
As I'm trying not to hack up a lung directly into the microphone. Again, by the way, the reason I am hacking up a lung is I had COVID last week, and it likes me a lot, so it hangs on for longer periods of time. So I'm fever free. I'm fine to go out and about with a mask on, but I am have some issues. So Mary, before we get into how and what are good ways to quote unquote apologize, what are some situations that are not our fault? It's not our fault. We did nothing wrong, but for client communication's sake, we might want to sound empathetic. Or quote unquote a non-apology apology. Like,
All right. So I'll start with one of my clients and how I handled it. Okay. So again, my way of handling things may not be your cup of tea either. Okay. I tend to be blunt and to the point. So I get a call from like an old Cocker Spaniel, 16, 15.
so Wardy McWaterson was his name.
Big Waterson, Matt, right? He tells me that he called me because his last groomer left a bloody mess on his dog. Okay? The reason she left the bloody mess was because the dog underneath all those mats was warty. Okay. So she hit the warts, which is going to happen.
It's absolutely gonna, especially if the dog is matted, you don't know where all the warts are, or even has a decent length of fur. It's still hard to see under there.
So, and I told them flat out, again, this is where client communication comes in. Your dog hasn't been groomed in 6 months, pelted, I don't know where the warts are. And I told him flat out, I said, this is a direct quote. Unless God himself is guiding my hand, I am probably going to hit a couple of warts and make them bleed. So I'm telling you that right off the bat. So you still want to continue with the groom. And he looked at me for a second. And now, again, you don't know how much is true from what conversation was between him and the other groomer. Don't know if he groomer hops, okay, or a new groomer, or maybe they told him the same exact thing I said. I don't know, okay? The groomer didn't tell me that. Just handed me back my dog all covered in blood, okay?
Well, you got it. Don't. Shouldn't best practice clean up the blood?
Again, I don't know.
Yeah,
I did not witness this.
that's also true.
Okay. So I still groomed this dog. Now you ask me, Chris, how many warts did I hit on that dog?
Probably none, because God himself was guiding your hand.
Single wart. And I handed it back, and here's the thing where I actually apologized.
Oh,
I said, listen, God himself guided my hand this time. I don't know for what reason. I did not hit a single wart. However, if you don't book another appointment and call me in 6 months and your dog is in the same exact condition, I can't make that guarantee again.
yeah. Well, it probably helped that you had in the back of your head to go as gently as possible, because you knew there was stuff under there.
I knew there was stuff. I didn't know how many. And here's another thing too. I documented where they were.
Yeah.
Right? Part of good check-in. And afterwards, on his little form, little dots were all the warts were.
And okay, I'm gonna digress, but it's not so far out of left field. One of the things that grinds my gears is when people say, oh, it shouldn't be as much, it's just a shave down. How much did you sweat during just that shave down?
Yeah.
How much longer did it take you because you were going stupid slow?
Well, here
And
again, we
gently.
could go into hourly pricing.
Yes.
So I went super slow, charged him appropriately for it. And there's that. But again, you know what? We could do a whole other podcast and not charging your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Not that's again such a really vague term. Okay. But charging for the job you're doing based on your business model. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking again, it's a whole other thing, and I have to think more about before I want to talk about it anyway.
I'm making notes for guests. We'll talk later. I gotcha.
Okay. That the phenomena of first of all doing as many as you can, so you've got to work quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and then taking your time to do it, and then not charging appropriately for your time. So that one Cocker Spaniel that I did was really probably took me about the same amount of time as 2 smaller dogs. So should I not be compensated for
Right.
could have been 2 smaller dogs?
Not to mention, if the matting is bad enough that you have to pre-shave, which I haven't done rough cuts in nigh unto forever.
I said, here's the thing. I wouldn't do a rough cut on this dog because of the warts. I wouldn't want to get in, and then at least with cleaner coat, I have a better idea of what I'm working.
You had, but the matting was so it allowed you to do that. Now imagine that was 8 months later instead of 6 months, and the dog is such a pelt. There's no way water is getting to the skin. You'd have to do 2 baths. it'd be pointless to wash them. And you're right. Now you have a situation where, great, I'm going to hit a wart. It's going to bleed. It's going to get, dirt's going to get in there because it's a dirty, nasty coat. So here we have, once again, it goes back to making sure our forms are correct. And our forms will stand up in court, because this has now happened. This is now occasionally a thing.
Yeah, you know what? Again, that might also be another topic again that we talk about, forms and why they are so important. And if we go back to when I first started, you first started, getting forms to clients meant just putting them in front of their face when they came in. No chance to go over them or to see whether or not this was a really good fit for you or not. The software these days make that so easy. Fill all of this out for me. Let me review it.
Send it back.
And get back to you. So you know what? And I would probably say, sort of put it under the heading of, I need to know what I'm working with to schedule you appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all right, so what's another situation? That's something that, but see, that whole wart thing is actually a perfect example. It came up on Facebook recently where someone was saying they're not going to apologize for things they have no control over. They have no control over whether or not the dog is matted and needs to be shaved, if the person, can't get in on the day they want to get in, stuff like that. But
all right, so let's go back to that one. I'm going to tell you how I would have handled if I would have nicked a wart on that Cocker Spaniel.
mm-hmm.
Okay. I would have brought it back to the owner. All right. Like we discussed, I nicked the wart. It's cleaned out. You need to keep an eye on it. But then he also would have signed my matted release form. All right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You need those forms.
It wouldn't have been an I'm sorry. It would be, yes, I nicked your pet like we discussed. Okay. Now, here's where you could say I'm sorry. Sorry, the pet is hurt.
And that's acknowledging the situation. That's
Yes.
acknowledging the situation. That is, okay, we cleaned it up and it bled later because that's where the harness rubbed. So here's where, yes, the brush caught the wart, you cleaned it up, you sent it out, but did you have that conversation saying, hey, this is what happened during the groom, because there's that giant wart that bleeds a lot when it gets rubbed, and the owners probably know about it because it's probably not the first time it's happened. But that's, you let them know. And then when they contact you later, go, oof, I can see how that is startling to all of a sudden have a big bloody patch on your dogs. I understand that's frustrating. You're acknowledging the situation. You're showing some empathy. You are not so much, you're not really taking responsibility and admitting error. The only thing closest to that you could do is saying, you know what, I'm going to mark that on the pup's chart so we can try to avoid that in the future. However, this is a really, really big wart that gets opened easily.
All right.
So
And
that
then
should be in your paperwork.
Yeah. And then maybe suggesting a conversation with the vet on how to avoid, maybe not even the vet. This harness.
No, I'm going to say the vet, because I've had so many clients with warty covered dogs that go regularly and get the worst ones taken off at the vet on a regular basis.
I mean, for the harness.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
it's not the correct thing to use on this dog.
Yeah. Honestly, from the very little I know of the situation, I didn't have my hands on the dog. I wasn't there. I don't know what was said. I don't know that the person didn't warn the client.
Yeah.
But 100% than if it's something that's going to be opened up by rubbing the harness. And they need a harness for other reasons. Then you got to do something to minimize that. But then that is, to me, a conversation with the vet, because now it's really affecting the dog's quality of life.
Okay.
Because it's not a humongous quality of life issue like they can't see or eat or this or that. But you ever have an item of clothing that had a tag in an unfortunate place?
Yeah, I've had on Cecil. Cecil wears a harness, and there was a wart that was being irritated by the harness. Okay. He needs to wear a harness. That's, I mean, I have other things, but whatever I put on him, it's going to rub it. Okay. So he's not a collar. He's a small dog. I am not putting just a collar on him, trachea issues. So it's the harness. I had it removed.
Yeah. So because it's even if it's not a big deal, and even if it doesn't bleed all the time, that's going to be uncomfortable every time the dog has to go out, have to have this harness on. It's like a painful itch. It's like an irritation.
Not only that, so it's in the perfect spot that every time I picked him up, I was pressing on it.
Okay.
Which, for those who know Cecil does not have any problem letting you know he's uncomfortable and that hurt him. You should be aware of that.
All right, Mary, I'm going to hit another button, and then I have another question for you when we come back.
Okay.
Are you ambitious and motivated? Looking to pivot your career within the pet industry? Hesitant to take the first step? Unsure of how to begin? If so, the Create That Program monthly membership is tailored for you. Gain access to over 20 hours of recorded content, invaluable workbooks, and practical checklists. Additionally, benefit from a monthly group coaching call with Mary Oquendo, a 2-time nominee for Barclay's Contribution to the Industry Award. Are you prepared to make a worthwhile investment in yourself? For just $197 a month, initiate your journey towards leaving a lasting mark on the pet industry by joining Create That Program. Join today at createthatprogram.com.
Okay, Mary. So my question now is, what are some other examples that you can think of? All right, maybe you're not the person to ask on this. What are some other examples of things that you're not sorry for, but you're sorry for the situation, and you might use that phrase in context with a customer? That's not really apologizing, it's more empathizing.
No, okay. So let's go back to I'm a brand new groomer. Okay. Now I'll also tell you that every screw up is a lesson. Okay. So I'm new. This woman comes in with 2 dogs, made the appointment, had the cards out. On the shepherd, she wanted, it said 4 all over.
Oh, yeah.
And then on the American Eskimo, it said 7, and which I thought said skin. Handwriting. Okay. And so I look at that and I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? And I pulled out the card for her to sign that her dog was going to be shaved, and she signed it.
See, she wasn't reading it correctly either.
Okay, but I specifically asked her. So I shaved down her American Eskimo, which is not what she wanted. The card read 7 skim. So just skim the hairs on it. Okay. So yeah, I screwed up. Okay. Was it entirely my fault?
But that's still something where you'd go, oh my God, I totally read the card wrong.
So she got free grooms. Okay. And then instituted printing things on the cards. This is before computers, people.
Oh
Okay.
my God. The handwriting.
The handwriting. And I apologized up the wazoo because it was not her fault that the groomer before me had sloppy handwriting.
Yeah.
Okay. But that wasn't my fault either. When I handed her the sign, "This your dog is going to be shaved" card.
Because she didn't read it. And in her defense, in her defense, with a lot of the, what was that?
Does the word shave mean?
Wait. No. You don't get ahead. For a lot of the corporate shops, it's the same, it's all on the same paper. So if she's used to signing the same form and she's in a hurry, and it was all, and she just signed at the bottom like she always does.
Separate one, had to flip the card over,
Ew.
read it to her, and she signed it.
Oopsies.
All right. Ultimately, though, I'm the one that shaved her American Eskimo. Okay. So while there was a lot of different circumstances involving it,
And how many years ago was that, Mary?
oh my God, I was a brand
So-
new groomer.
So you, nobody crucify Mary for shaving a double-coated breed. It was like 20 something years ago.
It was more than 20 years ago.
Okay.
That was not what she was expecting. Okay. She was expecting a skim, not a shaved dog. She was rightfully upset. Okay. Her husband wanted to like throttle me, but I flipped the card over and I said, "You signed it." You know? But there was a lot of miscommunications there all around. But ultimately, her pet, her American Eskimo, was shaved. Okay. So there was the, "I am so sorry." Okay. And I probably don't think I would have handled that part differently 20 years later. Okay.
Because
20 years later,
because you did, even though she signed, you did screw up. You read the thing wrong and you acknowledged your screw up. And I think a lot of times, as long as we acknowledge them, either if it was a mistake we made, acknowledge it. Even sometimes if there's nothing we did wrong, we can still empathize and acknowledge, I understand it's very frustrating. You've got all this stuff going on for the holidays. It's frustrating that we don't have an appointment for you. The best I can offer you is a spot on our waiting list.
yeah. All right. So, yeah, I definitely used the word "I'm sorry" there, and I meant it. Okay. Showed him the card. I said, "I misread the card. I thought it said 7 skin." Okay. Live and learn. Live and learn there. The other time I used the words "I'm sorry," okay, was with a very long-term client, every 4-week schnauzer. And I forgot to schedule them for Thanksgiving. And the reason I forgot to schedule them for Thanksgiving is my husband was in the hospital. I didn't realize my mistake until I was setting up the schedule for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That got, and I'm sorry. I was overwhelmed, not paying attention. This is totally my screw up. I'm sorry.
But that's one of those situations where, as long as your clients are human, you're fine.
Oh, yeah.
You should be fine anyway.
No, she was fine.
Yeah.
Now, there are sometimes you can use the "I'm sorry" to fire someone and be really clear. You're not sorry at all. That's
Ooh.
different.
Did I do that? Wait, let me go to press a quick button and ponder if that's what I did once.
Pet Edge is the pet professional's choice for supplies and equipment from top brands. Check their website for new products, sales, and special offers. For a limited time, save 5% off your order with promo code TRAVELER5.
Find what you need to succeed at petedge.com. So I'm guessing this is I'm sorry, but we are not a good fit.
Yeah, you know what? And I think in that context, that's fine because you're firing this person. Okay.
Or
Even
if,
still, it's probably not a really good habit to get into
yeah,
firing this person. Right. I'm thinking more along the lines, I'm holding back snark. I'm holding
I'm
back.
sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry you feel that way. However, you need to find a new groomer. I'm talking that type of I'm sorry. Okay. I also try not to use the word unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
See, and I will sometimes use the word unfortunately when it comes to shaving a dog, because it is unfortunate that the dog got in that condition. There's
Okay,
nothing fortunate about it.
Differently too. It is unfortunate that your pet is in this condition.
And see, here's where now if the client gave me pushback, I might go to that. But here's where we handle things slightly differently, because you're way more blunt than I am. And a lot of my clients are the white glove service needed. So that's why I have them.
Right. And you know what? And that's fine too. It's part of this is knowing who your clients are. Okay. And when you get that client list filled with people who get you, you get them,
Mm-hmm.
you have way more leeway with
Absolutely.
what you're saying. And a lot of times it's they're fine. They're fine. I have gotten so many clients, all right, because a pet was injured by a client that was not acknowledged.
Yes.
So not even getting to the point, I'm sorry, not acknowledged. They found that they figured it out later when they got home. And they weren't angry that the pet was injured. They were angry because they weren't told.
Well, and sometimes an injury that's not a big deal can become a big deal. Like and this is still going on. I have a relatively new client that drive to me because they had a groomer they were using for a while, and the groomer, they never get the dog back with a harness on. It wears a harness. It's one of those nice big soft ones that kind of like wrap around, but he wears a harness all the time. The dog never goes back to them with the harness on. It's always like, here's the dog, here's the harness, look at his beautiful haircut, because sometimes the harness messes with that. So you want him to see it first. But they got the dog handed back with the harness this time, and it didn't really click. There was a big cut that got really, really badly infected because it was underneath the harness and now rubbing and not being clean and bacteria growing. And it didn't get noticed for a solid week or more. And it was like, he showed me a picture of when they discovered it. It was bad. But at the time, if they'd have said, hey, this happened, maybe a vet visit to check it out, nip it in the bud, it wouldn't have been a big traumatic experience. As opposed to now a scar, and it's not pretty.
Okay.
So
the point being is, if I've injured pets. I've part of the reason on the schnauzers why I would never take that 40 go up the ear. If you can do it, awesome. I do it, I nick the ear. That's a given. That is a given. In fact, when I took my test for Petco, I took the ding on the ears rather than shave up the ears. Because I would have shaved up the ears, I would have nicked the ears, I would have failed.
And see, I was never taught to do that.
Oh, no. We're talking, I was taught by long, oh my God, show groomers.
Okay.
They were absolute show groomers, breeders, and yeah. So we shaved up the ear. And I was like, oh, I will never do that. So for when that happened, right? If this is my fault. Now going forward, I don't shave up the ears. But the owners were aware of it and did not lose a customer over it.
I feel crooked. Don't mind me.
Okay. So I know you did a little research on how to say sorry without saying sorry.
Well, very, very little, because it was a slightly, my day did not go to plan, but that's fine. But the very first thing is acknowledging the situation. Y'all, this is important. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Even if you think this is a self-imposed stupidity situation that is 100% the client's fault, and you're not sorry in the least that it's the week of Christmas and they have a smelly dog, they're still frustrated. Now, yes, it's because their own damn fault, but I can see how that's frustrating. Acknowledge the situation. Instead of saying, I'm sorry if I upset you, I understand that that's upsetting. I understand that might upset you. If it was your mistake, and only if it was your mistake, like you didn't write down their appointment, you did nick the dog, something happened. Instead of just saying, I'm sorry for that, that was my mistake, I should have done better, or I take responsibility for this. And don't just leave it there. Don't make excuses. Because depending on the situation, like Mary, your thing with not writing that appointment down, that's a pretty good excuse and that's pretty understandable. But, we're also trying to calm the customer down, and we don't want them to go, you're just giving excuses. I actually struggle with this at home when I have fights with the hubby. Not that we ever have fights with the hubby, but I'm an over explainer. And if I did something that upset him or pissed him off, I want him to know why and what I was thinking and what happened, and that I didn't intend that. And that makes him more angry because it sounds like excuses. So also that works well with customers. But so then we express empathy. Instead of saying, well, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. Because if somebody says to me, I'm sorry you feel that way, I see red. I see 20 different shades of red. And I'm not sure why that phrase infuriates me, but it kind of does. Because it usually comes after something someone did or said to make me feel that way. So instead of say you know what? I can see how you'd be upset. I understand how that might be. That sounds really difficult. So you're acknowledging their feelings without placing blame on anything. And if it's something where we're running late or there's a delay, just cut right to, but we're here now. I understand this has caused an inconvenience. I'll ensure this doesn't happen again. I'm sorry I missed. I called 20 times to make an appointment. Sorry I missed your call. I was helping other pets, but we're here now. How can I help? Actually, I probably wouldn't even say I was helping other pets because that's the thing I do. See? You did it, Mary. So sorry I missed your call. We're here now. How can I help?
Okay, I'm so sorry I missed your call.
Yeah, that's an AI example. But that's when if you were playing phone tag with a customer. Oh, sorry I missed you earlier.
All right, instead of saying I'm so sorry, what about if you said instead, let me think a second. We were unable to answer the call earlier.
That's something I like to put in my voicemail, though. Honestly, I think that's something we put in our voicemail. So that makes it very clear if they've called us 20 times.
Okay.
It says, I don't answer the phone when I'm working on someone's pet.
Okay.
So yeah, that's more of a officey, businessy situation.
All right. So what other examples you got for me?
That was,
how you said, I'm sorry to fire a client.
oh yeah, we would say that using the I'm sorry to fire a client.
I'm sorry to fire a client. So this
That's more like as I just throw my phone around because it's not a fidget toy.
okay. So I'm grooming a client. Their neighbor's interested in my services. They're friends. I start grooming their dog, and he canceled last minute because the excuse he used his mother died. I'm like, okay, we're good. I'm not going to enforce my no show policy. Okay. Then a couple months later, he did it again. Okay. But conversation I had prior to that was with when I called and his wife picked up. I was told flat out we had something better to do. A beautiful day. Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
Then he calls me back. Well, my mother died. That's what we were doing. And so I contacted my neighbor, their neighbor who was good friends with them. Hey, did any family member die? No. Recently? No. Mother? Oh, no. Okay. Thank you. I'm firing them. I'm letting you know that. Okay. Because they used the excuse, his mother died twice on me. So called back and I told them, I'm really sorry that your mom died twice, but you need to find another groomer. That, I think, is when the I'm sorry works really well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did that. I did that once when I think the full phrase was, I'm sorry, but I know I won't be able to handle the guilt if you let your dog get out and it runs off and gets hit by a car because it's running away from me. I won't be able to handle that. I won't be continuing to groom your dog.
Okay. All right.
Because that happened exactly once. Now, the dog was fine, but their yard isn't fenced. And I told them, because the dog did get into the yard and I got it once before it went out into the street. And I told him about it. I said, when I'm coming, please be sure the doggy door is closed. The sliding door is closed. And it wasn't. And their son was driving all over the neighborhood looking for the dog. And I'm like, peace out. I can't take the guilt. Anywho's. Oh no, it's button time. I think I front loaded the buttons. I don't know why I can't keep track of time today. But it's a quick one. Be right back. As a house call groomer, the idea of van and generator maintenance had kept me out of one for years. But Hanvey Engineering and Design has been making mobile grooming vans for 20 years now and has thought of that. No generator to maintain, repair, and replace. No propane to fill or worry about running out in the middle of winter. Hanvey vans have the lowest operating costs out there. I know I'm sold, but check out their latest innovations for yourself at hanvey.com. Ta-da.
Ta-da. Okay.
So what are some other situations that you can think of, Mary, that you should apologize to a client for? I mean, we definitely have injuring a dog. What about, throwing this out there, devil's advocate, what about things taking way longer than you expected them to?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because,
Again, okay.
yeah, I could go either way on this because
Go either way on this too.
Because, yeah, go
It
ahead.
has a lot to do with client communications. Okay. Because we'll tell a client, well, your dog will be ready at 4:00. At 3:30, they're already in the lobby. Okay. Or they're calling, is he done yet? Is he done yet? Is he done yet? So I think part of it is we have to be a little open-ended with times. And again, let me backtrack a little bit, right? We all have different ways we like to run our business. Okay. If you're working one-to-one and you need this pet out at 2:00, so the next pet can come in at 2:15, you need to kind of stick to that. Okay. But thorough check-ins, okay, can put an end to a lot of, well, I thought this was going to take me 2 hours. It's taking me 4 hours. Okay. It's letting the client know you should have multiple means of contact. Hey, I know I said this dog will be ready in 2 hours. There's no way I can get this dog done. It is more work than I thought. At this point, you may have to have revised the estimate of what you're charging them. Okay. You may have to send out an okay for a new cut because it's not what you can promise. All right. There might be like dozens of different reasons why the pet is not going to be ready in the time frame you set. However, having clear communications with the client, doing that thorough check-in, all right, so that you know how this pet handles being handled. You know if there's what any pain responses are that might slow down grooming. You'll know all of this if you do a thorough snout to tail assessment. And maybe one of these episodes, do we have time to do what a thorough?
Not today.
15 minutes.
What was that?
5 minutes to discuss what a thorough intake is.
Okay, we got 5 minutes to discuss a thorough, because that fits.
Okay, so let's talk about what a thorough check-in is. Okay, so the thorough check-in is before they even come into your shop, they already filled out all your paperwork. All right, what you're looking for before you put hands on any pet, you want to watch them walk in on their own volition. I'm talking dogs, not necessarily cats. Watching them walk in, you're watching their gait. Are they favoring a leg? All right, are they limping already? Okay. After that, you want to look at their eyes. Are their eyes, if you're moving in front of them, are they tracking you? Okay. Is there no discharge? Are the eyes dilated the same? Okay. Once we get, and there's no discharge. So there's discharge from the nose, no active discharge from the eyes. Okay. Then we put a hand on the pet. And if this is a pet that is not known to you, the hand goes all the way on the butt. Because if he's going to rear around and nail you,
you got that couple of seconds. Yep.
That couple of steps to back it up. Okay. What you're looking for as you run your hands on the body of this pet. You're looking for any kind of pain response. Okay. Now, I always ask my students, oh, Chris, do you know what hurts in your body at this given moment?
Yeah.
You know where it hurts?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think not that dogs and cats know where it hurts as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm running my hands up the back and they're starting to tense if I'm coming up to a shoulder, that might indicate there's some shoulder pain coming on, the bite risk. Right? Pay attention to body language. Right? Run that comb through the coat. All right. Know what you're dealing with. Right. I just brushed my dog. Yeah, they may have brushed their dog, but did they comb their dog? It's two totally different things. Okay. Or are they using crappy equipment? Do they not know how to comb and brush? This is a good time to educate your clients. All right. My dog always runs when I pull out the comb and the brush. Well, I'm like, when you go home, take your comb and brush and run it up your arm. Because I guarantee that most likely the problem is they bought the cheapest thing at one of the box stores.
And it's not a bad idea if someone really wants a really, really good experience, if you're trying to build that spa-like atmosphere. For a new client, ask them to bring with them
Your comb and brush.
your comb and brush. We're going to have a thorough intake. We're going to talk about your dog's coat needs. Just like when you go to a high-end salon, you have the consultation first. So I want to see what products you're using on the dog at home.
So your pet may be running away from the comb and brush because it hurts. Okay. So I'm always feeling along for any bumps or lumps. Okay. Looking for that tenderness coming up to the top of the head. Take a look at the ears. For me as a business owner, I wouldn't clean ears that were gunky, yellowish, okay? Normal dirt, I would clean those ears. But anything that smelled foul, was red and hot, was yellow and gooky, I did not clean those ears. In fact, I made it clear that I was not going to clean the ears until I got a vet release on those ears. Okay. I'm going to come up with the top of the head. I'm going to feel along the ear leather. And here is probably the most important part of a check-in. Nothing else. Take a look at gum color. Okay. Pink gums, nice, healthy pink gums is what you're looking for. Anything other than that, there's a problem. Pale gums, almost whitish gums, that is anemic, poor blood flow. Bright red could be poisoning, it could be heat stroke. Blue is hypoxia, trachea issues, collapsed tracheas. Yellow is jaundice. And if you got older pets, gum color could change throughout the groom, so you need to know when to stop. All right. It's a good time to check teeth because especially on those smaller dogs, that mouth hurts. All right. If they have tooth problems and if you've ever had a toothache, you know exactly how much that hurts. And you know how much it hurts, the dog knows how much it hurts. Okay. So when you get to the face, they're going to protect their face. Right. Now imagine having a toothache and taking an electric toothbrush and cleaning that toothbrush and cleaning that tooth. Yeah, it's gonna hurt.
Don't wanna.
So that vibrating clipper that you're gonna put on the face of a pet that's in pain, it's gonna be a bite risk. Okay, I'm gonna feel down each of the legs. I'm gonna check the nails in between the pads, and then the undercarriage. Stomach is hard and distended. That's bloat. That's an emergency room visit. And particularly on cats, I'm really going to feel around the mammaries because while cancer is much more rare in cats than it is in dogs, it's more deadly in cats. And where cats mostly get cancer is in the mammaries. All right. That, if we do the time on that, I will guarantee you on a new client, it's going to take maybe 5 minutes, and that's you having a conversation with the pet owner. On an established pet, that's going to take you 30 seconds. So many things can be addressed here during a check-in that will resolve the whole I'm sorry down the line.
Yep. Oh, I'm not muted anymore. Yeah. And we try to prevent our mistakes. We try to prevent as much as possible. But it happens. I mean, one time, I know I've told the story before, but one time I famously really did apologize to a customer because I screwed up was times you have an entire conversation about the haircut, and then for whatever reason, your brain doesn't do it. Like I made an appointment with this woman for her cat. We had like at least a 10-minute conversation on what she wanted. She wanted a bath, maybe a little sandy trim, but that's it. She wanted a bath. It was a long haircut. Great. It was a busy day. The father dropped off. Instead of, and I forgot I had a conversation because it was a different person, and nobody said, he didn't go, oh, my wife said she talked to you about it. That would have gone, oh, yes, I remember that now. Fine. I'm like, oh, what are we getting today? Lion cut? And he goes, yeah. Yeah, she was not happy. And I apologized so much but I threw I threw him right under the bus, Mary. You can't save everyone. I'm like, I am so sorry. I remember that now. But when he dropped it off, this is what he said he wanted. So I had no way of knowing, but I did apologize to her. I did feel bad. It's not her fault. Her husband decided he didn't like cat hair. Long cat hair, and wanted to break from it for a minute. But yeah, no, there are definite times you can
that brings
say
up,
sorry.
Let's take a commercial, and then we're going to do the whole he said, she said.
Okay, and that's our last commercial break of the day, by the way.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Your hands will thank you. By the way, Mary, did you know that? Did you know that they could make the shears not swivel at all?
I think I did.
Okay. Because
Pull up your volume.
What was that?
Your volume.
I didn't touch the nothing. I don't know why it's the voluming. Is it better now?
It is.
I have no idea. But yeah, we can put it in the position that's good for your hands, and you're like, no, this is comfortable for my hand. It fits my hand well. I just absolutely hate the swivel, and there's no way you can convince me. And I'll eventually go, okay, we can lock it down in that position. So, ta-da.
Okay.
Something for everyone.
Talk about the he said, she said. All right. So I had a customer that followed me from corporate, and he always dropped off the dog. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted his dog, it was a Bichon, and he liked when I did the 3 3/4 blade on the body.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he liked. That's what I always did. So now I'm going to his house. His wife wants it an inch longer, 2 clip-on. Now, let's talk. What is the real difference between a 2 clip-on and the 3 3/4?
See, that sounds like a yes or no black and white question, because I can walk over to my stuff and get the things and tell you, but it's not a concrete answer, because with different coat types and different fur, and even within the same breed, their coat texture could be different. It could look very different, and it could look
This
great.
particular dog, there was no difference.
Okay.
But apparently, whenever dad was there, I did the 3 3/4. And whenever mom was at home, I did the 2 clip-on. And apparently they fought over this. And
Apparently, they could tell. Sometimes you can tell.
okay, but they were fighting. He wanted 3 3/4. She wanted the 2 clip-on. And one day the daughter is there, and I knew this was getting to be a problem. And she hands me the dog and she goes, I don't know what to tell you. All right. I'm like, well, who will you get in less trouble with? Oh, my
Right.
father. Okay. So we'll do what your mother wants then.
Yeah.
All right. When it got to that point where the teenage girl in the house was anxious over giving me the pet because of the fight that was going to happen in the house. All right. I knew I wasn't coming there anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So he said, she said. My policies always was this. Whoever drops off the pet gets to make the decision about what's going to happen. And I made that clear. Okay. So that when I knew husbands were either dropping off when I worked corporate or we're going to be home, I had a conversation with the wife. What do you want? Was your husband going to override it? Okay. Because he says, you know what my policy is. So if there's going to be a problem, I need to know now before I get there, because I'm not getting in the middle of this.
Yep. And we've even gotten in custody disputes where someone will write on their paperwork, so-and-so cannot, talking about he said, she said, sorry, tangent. They'll write on their paperwork, do not send home with, dog is in a custody dispute. But I've had owners argue about the haircut, and one wants this and one wants this, and the kid wants this and somebody else wants this. Like when everyone's there at drop off, and when there are multiple people at drop off. When I was in corporate, what I used to do was they'd be like, well, I want this, well, I want that. And if it was either a husband and wife or a parent and kid, I'd go, well, who's paying for this haircut? And someone would be like, I am. And I pivot, look directly at them. What do you want? You're paying for this.
So, but here's the problem is that, and this is why I'm a huge proponent of video and audio recording. Okay. So if someone drops off, they gives these instructions, recording. Okay. So that later on, if there's a problem, well, let's roll the tape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Now, here's the thing with audio and video recording. I highly recommend that you do it. Clients need to sign that you do. They need to be aware of it. So if you have it over your like reception desk, you can put things smile, you're on camera. Okay.
Check your state and local laws. Usually a smile, you're on camera will do it. But if you're in a one-party consent state, as long as you know it's there. Now,
Okay, but here
is it potentially is it potentially a shitty thing to do to your client if they don't know? Yeah. But
here's the thing. They should know you're doing it. And the reason they should know you're doing it is that it'll put a stop to the whole he said, she said. But here's the thing. If you tell them you're recording, do so.
oh yeah, don't fib about it.
Don't fib about it, because if something happens that's not your fault and they think it happened in your shop, and then they ask to see the video and you don't have it because you didn't record it, okay? They're going to think you're hiding.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Mary. I think we did more or less on topic and stuff today. What's that about?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know either. All right. We did all of our thingies. Is there anything, and guys, all right, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm not going to check the comments. I've been tempted, but I've watched YouTube comments on other videos and I'm like, that is a wild and dangerous land that has nothing to do with how good my blood pressure is. So, comment on in the Facebook group if there's any other things you want us to talk about. If there's any other examples or questions about this episode, we want to know about it. But Mary, that's it. Anything else you want to say?
No, nope.
Oh, there is something else I wanted to say. Be sure to pick up this month's Groomer to Groomer, because this will air after, what was that?
State the month of the issue you want them to pick up.
This is May 2025. It will be my debut article for Groomer to Groomer. You may have already missed the Salt Lake City or Teton Grooming Expo, missed my ergonomics class. I had a 4-hour certificate class, but it is available on Positive Ed. So this is the first of many articles, hopefully, that are going to be talking about ergonomics and how it relates to grooming in Groomer to Groomer. And I'm super excited. Okay, that was it.
Okay.
Plug. All right, guys. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you next week. Week after, whatever. Safe travels.
Well, that was fun. But now it's time to head home. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed chatting with you. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss or guests you want to see join us on this crazy road trip of ours, let us know in the Traveling Groomers Facebook page. Don't forget to thank our sponsors. And see you next week, guys. Safe travels.